All right. A lot of times we are always concerned about the fact that there are habits in our lives we are always willing to change. And sometimes it bothers us why we do not see those changes. And a couple of times these habits get to really, really hot odds before great people, great individuals, great personalities, and we cannot explain why these habits just keep remaining there. And a lot of times you have tried to figure out how you can transition from some sort of this destructive habits into transformational habits that could help your life grow and move to the next level. All right, on this great episode of Growth Secrets with Abiodun Mustafa, I have another special guest, like I always bring at every instance, and she would be dealing with this concept on how you can transition from destructive habits to transformational habits. Who is my guest today? She is a transformational coach, a counselor, and an author. And our mission is to help you become a better version of yourself by showing you how you can reach your highest potential, how you can maximize your opportunities, and how you can live purposefully. And she does this through her speaking, through her writing, and through her coaching. And she has been an amazing person who we have been friends online for a while. And she does amazing, amazing stuff. And I'm really wanting you to get ready because today would not be an exception. And she is the author of Why Birthdays and Insights on Purposeful Living. All right, ladies and gentlemen, join me as I welcome to Growth Secret with Abiodun Mustafa, Michelle Ogunniyi. Michelle, you're welcome to Growth Secret. It's glad to have you.
Thank you so much for having me here. It's such a pleasure to be here. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah, it's a privilege. I'm so delighted having you. It's a great honor. I know you're a very busy person and you have a lot of things to do, and it's a privilege having you to be here. All right, on the concept on how people can transition from destructive to transformational habits. And as a transformational coach, having to work with people over time, trying to see a lot of people who sometimes they are down, sometimes they are hurt, sometimes they are offended. Now, what would you have to say on this concept on how people can transition from destructive to transformational habits? Over
Okay,
to you.
thank you so much. Thank you so much for that question. So this is one area that I am really so concerned about because I've come to realize that a lot of people have great potentials in life. A lot of people have abilities, but somehow there are certain things that could deter them from getting to that position or getting to that place that they desire to get to. So recently, I think yesterday, I was online and I saw a particular news going around about a certain person who was into domestic violence and anger issues and all of that. And because of that single thing, he lost a lot of deals, a lot of opportunities, and so many things. I'm sure you must have seen or heard the story because it was so rampant as I guess today and all of that. And then I just came to realize that as humans, there are little foxes in our lives that are probably habits, behaviors, thought patterns, or whatnot. And these things can actually deter us. They can actually bring us down, no matter how high we go in life. So the importance of working on those habits or those characters, they are very important. And for me, the first step to transitioning from a destructive habit to a transformational habit is awareness, self-awareness, very important. So for you to know that, for you to be able to change something, you have to be aware of it. You have to know that this is actually what is wrong with me. There are a lot of people that I've met who have one issue or the other, who have one challenge or the other, or character faults or the other. And when you tell them that, do you know that this is something that is wrong about you? It's like a blind spot to them, right? Because even though every other person can see it, they kind of cannot either see it or they are not owning up to it. So there are a lot of people that have one destructive habit or the other, but they refuse to own it, accept it, or come to that level of awareness. And once you are in that state of ignorance or you're in that state of denial, you can't change something that you've not come to accept. You can't change something that you don't believe is wrong. It's just like, let me use an example. Probably I eat in a certain way. I eat in a certain way. Maybe I make some kind of noise when I eat with my mouth. And personally, I don't see anything wrong with that. And then someone keeps telling me often and often again that, Michelle, why are you eating like this? This is very wrong. It's not polite and all of that. But I keep arguing and telling the person that no, there's nothing wrong with how I eat, as long as I'm not disturbing you and all of that. And I keep arguing with you. Then I will never come to that point of saying that I want to change. I want to work on this particular habit or lifestyle of mine. And this is the place that a lot of people are in. So many people are in that state where they don't want to own they don't want to own these things. And when I say owning it, I'm not saying accepting it as this is part of you, because that's another mistake. Now there are two sides of the extreme. There's a side that, they don't want to accept or own or believe that this is who they are or this is what they do that is wrong. And there's another side that they've owned it, they've accepted it, and they've, just taken it as part of their lives. And they just feel that's the way I am. So we have this side of people who say, there is nothing wrong with what I do. I am not in any way having any problems with the things that I do or stuff like that. And there's another side that says, okay, this is me. I drink, I smoke, I masturbate, or whatever it is, or I have anger issues. That's just the way I am. And there's nothing that I can do about it. So just accept me for me, or you just leave me like that. So that's how a lot of people are. But if you're going to transition from a destructive habit to a transformational habit, the first thing you need to do is get to that level of awareness. Like my grandma used to tell me when I was young, she would say that the day a madman realizes that he is mad or is mentally disturbed, that is the day he starts to find healing. Because when you realize and you've come to accept the fact that something is wrong with me and I think I really need to work on it, then you start taking deliberate measures and conscious steps into helping yourself become better, into working on those weaknesses or whatever it is. So when you come to that level of awareness, when you own up to it and not necessarily accept that, okay, this is me, but then accept your wrongs or accept the fact that this is what I am doing and it's not right. That is the first step to gradually becoming a better version of yourself or to transition into a transformational habit. So that's step number one. And then number two that I've come to realize for a lot of people is that many people allow themselves to wallow in all of these lifestyles or habits. So you see people who, like I said previously, people have come to accept that this is me, this is who I am, that's just the way I am. So when I get angry, I just burst out in a very way that is so wrong, or I start throwing. I've met people who, when they are angry, they just throw things. I mean, I had a friend in school then, whenever she's really, really angry and she's pissed off, she starts crying. And then the next thing she's looking for is what she can throw around. There's a time she literally took her phone that she just bought and she smashed it on the wall. And she said, because I was angry and I just needed to, express myself. And that's it for a lot of people. So a lot of people just have come to accept it and they've allowed themselves to wallow in it such that it becomes a part of them and they relapse into it. So when you find yourself in a particular habit, do not wallow in it. Do not stay there. Look for ways you can help yourself to come out of it. And another thing is you look out for ways you can come out of it. I'm still going to go into that later on in the conversation. But then it's very, very important that you don't wallow in that self-destructive habits, And one of the ways you come out of such habits is looking out for the triggers, looking out for triggers. So whatever thing that we are struggling with, whatever habits that we struggle with, there are things that actually trigger them. Whatever it is, be it anger, be it an addiction, or some behaviors, whatever it is, something triggers it. And sometimes they are conscious or subconscious. So people pick up habits, people pick up characters and all of that from their environments, family, things around them, either consciously or unconsciously. So you have to first of all look out for the triggers. So whenever I'm angry and I want to just throw something off, or whenever I'm angry and I just want to beat somebody, or I want to use negative words against people, what causes that that actions or that reaction? Because there are two responses to a particular situation. It's either you react to it or you respond to it. Many times we find ourselves reacting to certain situations rather than responding to them. So when you find yourself in a particular situation in that sense, you ask yourself, so what are the triggers? What are those things that usually, there are always triggers. It just requires you to go back into your subconscious, right? Dig into your subconscious and think deeply, ask yourself questions. So, for instance, probably you have a habit of drinking or probably masturbation. Ask yourself, when did this start? And how did it start? The day it started, what triggered it? It could have been maybe a conversation you had with a friend. Person was talking about erotic stuff, and some things started to form up in your mind, and you started to act on those things that were forming up in your mind. It could be that you were watching a movie and you saw two people naked, or they were kissing, or whatever it is, and you know how the body moves and all of that, and then you wanted to just give yourself pleasure, and there was no probably opposite sex around, and you felt the best way you can do is just inside that pleasure in yourself. It could be anything at all. And then every time that situation arises, what triggers it? You can't just be it can't just come out of the blues. So if every time I'm always relapsing into this particular thing, then there must be something that is actually triggering it at every single point in time to keep coming up over and over again. So when you ask yourself that question, and then you are able to, I talk about awareness. Awareness helps you in developing or change or transitioning from one habit to another. So you are aware of not just what is wrong, you are aware of the things that are triggering that particular thing and is making you to relapse into it. Then once you're aware of it, that's another step to transitioning into a transformational habit. And then once you've come into that level of awareness, now you know, then the next thing for you to do is to talk about it. So another problem with people who are in a particular situation is that they wallow, they want to thrive in secrecy. And that's one of the major challenges. You cannot thrive in secrecy if you have some habits that are destructive. It could not even be an addiction. It could be that you probably have issues when it comes to keeping up to goals, commitments, plans, or you're somebody who likes to procrastinate a lot. That's also a very destructive habit, because procrastination has actually deterred a lot of people from, maximizing their potentials and doing the things that they ought to do as at the time they ought to do it. So that's another destructive habit. So when you know that, don't let those things thrive in secrecy. I think many people are ashamed of being judged. Many people are ashamed of being condemned, and they're ashamed of being seen in a certain way. So rather than being seen in a certain way, they would prefer to just hide under certain shadows and just act like everything is all good. Everything is all well and good. I have my acts together. And this is why a lot of people are being, a lot of people are having issues on a daily basis. I've had people come to me to tell me that I'm actually addicted to sex, or I'm addicted to something. And that's the first step to liberation, because when you are able to open up to somebody, you have, in a way, you have like an accountability in that sense, because that person gets to check up on you. Now, it now goes down to who are you really opening up to. So you have to not just open up to everybody because you don't want to thrive in secrecy, but you have to open up to the people that you know can help you, most especially a professional. So opening up to a professional and letting them know that these are the issues. So I have a friend who once had this particular issue, and I'm so glad that he was able to break out of it. I think he has written a book, or is about writing a book about that particular story of how he dealt with masturbation. And one of the things that liberated him was the day he went to tell his mentor about it. Apparently, his mentor is also a professional therapist. So that was like another good thing for him. So he told his mentor about it, and see, this is what I've been battling with for the past 3 years, and this is how it has been. Sometimes I stop it, another time I relapse back into it again. So it has been a situation of me rising and falling, and all of that. And then using professional tools and all of that, she was able to help him come out of it. Now, one of the things that I tell people is that when you're trying to come out of a destructive habit, I think one of the mistakes a lot of people make is that they feel like it is instantaneous. Like, I want to work on myself. And that's why many people beat themselves up a lot. So if I have issues with a particular habit that I've been battling for years, you've been battling with a particular weakness or whatever it is for like as long as maybe 2 years or even a year, and you think that it will change in 1 month, 2 months, 3 months. It's not possible. So that's one of the things that discourages a lot of people, because when you're trying to work on something and then you find yourself relapsing again, you just give up on yourself and tell yourself that maybe I cannot change this thing, or maybe I just have to keep, owning up to this particular lifestyle and accepting it as who I am. But then you need to understand that it takes days for habits to be formed, and to also take days, months, or even years to actually unlearn such habits, especially when these are habits that you picked in subconsciously, maybe from your environment. And subconscious is very, very powerful. It's not like something that you picked in consciously. This is like a subconscious thing that you just picked up. So it will take a lot of time for you to unlearn such habits or transition from such habits to another habit. So a lot of people just allow themselves to just get tired or fed up with trying to become better. So I try to become better today, and I just give up on myself. And maybe I rise today, I fall tomorrow. I rise today, I fall tomorrow. And then I just tell myself that maybe this whole thing is not for me, and I just relapse. So you must understand that habits take a lot of processes to be unlearned and to be relearned. So you have to understand that. So when you find yourself in such situations, going back and forth, you understand that it's just, a process, and every process takes time. It doesn't happen instantaneously, except it's a miracle. It doesn't happen instantaneously. So after you have, come to that level of opening up to somebody, it's very important to have an accountability partner. For me, I know areas of my life where I am still not up there. And I have somebody who I literally paid, although she's a coach, right? I paid a coach to be, in a way, be an accountability partner for me, to help me to do the things that I probably am struggling to do, not necessarily help me, but to hold me by the hands and guide me through that process or guide me through that journey. And so for me, it's because sometimes I just wake up in the morning to a mail from her telling me, so you have this particular timeline that you have to meet up to. These are the things that you need to do. These are some of the things that you need to work on. So it keeps me on my feet. And I know that, oh, somebody is out there watching my back. And I cannot just decide to just do whatever I want to do or just live my life in a certain way. That for me, I had to do that because I know that I have issues when it comes to meeting up with goals. Sometimes I just tell myself I'm not even doing this thing again. I'm just tired. So I needed to tell somebody that, okay, I need you to hold me by the hands. And in accountability, many times a lot of people just feel like I am accountable to you, and then they just hand over the responsibility to you. There's a place of self-discipline as well. As much as accountability is very good and very, very key, there's also a place of you yourself having to work on yourself and having to take charge of your actions. And one of the things I always tell people around me is that you are responsible for the outcome of your life, and you are responsible for the actions that you take. Nobody will do what you're supposed to do for you. Nobody will help you to make the decision that you're supposed to make for yourself. The role of an accountability partner is to just show you the way, help you, hold you by the hand, because you are not necessarily strong in a certain area. You're trying to get out of a particular habit or a particular lifestyle, and you need somebody who will guide you through that process. And so you know that that person is there to just guide you, not necessarily help you to do the things that you should do. Many people just abandon those responsibilities to mentors, coaches, accountability partners, and just expect that they should be the ones to do those things for them. So discipline is very, very required if you want to work on yourself, if you want to transition from a destructive habit to a transformational habit, then you need to know that I need to be disciplined. And being disciplined is not a joke. It's not, it doesn't come easy. That's the truth. It doesn't come easy. You have to put in like hard measures or difficult measures for yourself. Like for me, when I was younger,
Yeah.
my parents used to tell me that I sleep a lot. I like sleeping so much, and I could just literally just sleep and leave the things I was supposed to do undone. And so when I was going into the university, they were actually worried for me, like, this girl, hope you will not get to school and you start sleeping anyhow when you're supposed to, when your mates are in class or your mates are working or doing one thing or the other. So I knew that even though sleeping is not bad, sleeping too much was the issue. And you could sleep so much that there are things you hear that people tell you, don't sleep away your destiny, don't sleep away your future, stuff like that and all of that. So one of the conscious things I started doing when I got into the university was I use alarm a lot to wake myself up. And so I just deliberately decide that I want to wake up early. I want to wake up by 6 a.m. today. And I don't set my alarm for 5:30 if I want to wake up by 6 a.m. because I know that there's every tendency that I will sleep back. So if I want to wake up by 6 a.m., most times I set my alarm to 3 a.m., sometimes 4, sometimes 4:30. So I set my alarm to 3 a.m. in the morning, 3:30, 4 o'clock, 4:30, 5 o'clock, 5:30. So those alarms come in consecutively. So they come in 3, they come in 3:30, 4, 4:30, 5, 5:30. So if I hear the first one, 3 o'clock, I look at the time, okay, still 3 o'clock, I can sleep. But somewhere in my consciousness, I am half awake because I know that I'm supposed to wake up by 6. So when people tell me they have issues with waking up early, I wanted to wake up by 6 a.m., but I couldn't wake up, I slept off. The first question I ask them is, what time did you set your alarm? Did you set your alarm by 5:30? Then you're joking, you're not serious about waking up by 6. Because for me, what works for me is if I want to wake up by 6 and I set my alarm by 5:30, there's a high tendency that I will not wake up at that time. There's a very, very high probability, except if I was anxious about where I was going to as at that particular time. But if there's no anxiety, there's nothing, I just want to wake up, there's a very high tendency that I will not wake up at that time. So when I set my alarm for 3 and I put my alarm at a place where it's not within my reach. So it's not something that I can easily just put off. You are disturbing me. It will require me to stand up and move to that alarm in case I want to put it off. So whatever will take me from my bed to that point, definitely that sleep would no longer be as much as it was before. So these are the measures I had to start putting in place to help me break free from those habits that I developed as a young person or as a child or as a teenager. Those were the measures I put into place, and that's what has been helping me even till this point. I have several alarms for several things. I have an alarm for whatever activities that I want to do, and I set it hours before that particular time because it helps me to, to be up and doing the things that I need to do. That was what worked for me, and it has been working for me ever since. Does that mean that there are times where, despite the alarm, despite everything, I still don't sleep up and decide that, you know what, today I'm not waking up early? There are times that it comes that way. But when I find myself relapsing, and that's one thing people need to do, a lot of people just condemn themselves a lot. I think one of the things that has really helped me to become better or to enjoy the journey of growth is that I tell myself that, okay, it's fine that you messed up. It's fine that you didn't get it right. It's fine that you relapsed. But it's not fine if you decide to remain in that particular state. So if you had an habit that you probably have been trying to work on, and then you were doing fine for yourself, it looks like you are over it and you are just okay, like for a year or some months, and you were fine with it. And then after a while, you just relapse again and you went back to that same thing that you thought you're over it. There's that feeling of disappointment that you feel for yourself. There's that feeling of giving up on yourself, like, what's all this? Why do I keep rising and falling every single time? Why can't I just get it right once and for all? And then when you relapse into that, you begin to condemn yourself again, begin to feel bad for yourself. And then I've seen people who told me that there's no point anymore. Let me just accept this as my reality and just keep living in this kind of. I've met people like that who have told me that, see, I've tried so hard. I've tried so hard. I can't help it. It's like today I'm up, tomorrow I'm down. I'm like, if you fall down, stand up again. If you fall down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 times, this thing can sound kind of unrealistic, but that's the truth. And that is what has helped a lot of people, including myself. If I make a mistake, it's fine. I tell myself, oh, Michelle, you've made a mistake and you've done something wrong. And I tell myself the truth a lot. I think that's one of the things that has really helped me, telling myself the truth, owning up to my wrongs, owning up to my weaknesses, and being open to tell myself that you've done something wrong and you shouldn't have done it. But now get up and move. This will help you. Don't relent, don't wallow, don't relapse again, don't condemn yourself, don't accept it as who you are. Don't accept it as, sorry, don't accept it as a part of your life. See yourself as a work in progress and tell yourself that I am making progress. I'm working on to perfection. I might not be there yet, but I will surely get there. So you have an accountability partner that will help you through, and your accountability partner can come, or accountability can come in several ways. I talked about an alarm. So I have alarms for different things that I want to do. Okay, an alarm for probably my prayer time, alarm for study or whatever it is. I have alarms for these things, and they just keep me in check. So I know that at this particular time, this is what I want to do. It just helps in discipline because naturally, as humans, we love pleasure. And that's what makes a lot of people relapse into certain habits and all of that. It's pleasurable. That's why you find yourself doing it. For instance, if you find yourself drinking or masturbating, there's a certain level of pleasure that you derive in it. If you sleep too much, you love sleep. It's pleasurable. That's why you want to do it. So naturally, that's how we are wired to just love these things and to just do them effortlessly. But one of the things that we need to learn how to do is, irrespective of how hard it is to break free from it, I would choose the hard way. And that's what discipline is. Discipline is choosing the hard way, irrespective of things. And then I think lastly, one of the things I would say is before, okay, yeah, your association. Association also matters a lot. Who are the company of people that you keep around you? If you are with people who have destructive habits, one way or the other, no matter how much you try to guard yourself, you will eventually fall. And if you're with people who have transformational habits, you want to emulate it. So during my service here, I had this friend, or my roommate actually, my roommate in NYSC. She was this very prayerful person. She loves to pray a lot. Like she could pray like let's say like every hour. Subsequently, every hour, she's just praying. And it was actually weird for me because I pray, but it was weird to see somebody pray like literally every second. Like I'm not exaggerating. You could be having a conversation with her, like you guys are gisting, and then she just look at her time and she just right there, she just starts praying. And you just know that okay, it's that time for prayers and all of that. And staying with that person, imagine staying with somebody like that for an entire year. Trust me, you're going to emulate that habit one way or the other. So I started emulating that habit because when I see when we're gisting now, and then from gist, she just switched into prayer. The next thing I do, I just join her and I start praying with her. So I realized that in the morning, she wakes up at about 2 a.m. in the morning to pray. Like she set her alarm. And because we're in the same room, when her alarm is waking her up by 2 a.m., I also wake up at that time. It got to a point I started telling her that, see, when you're waking up to pray, just wake me up. And then we'll go and pray together. And I started to emulate that habit because of my kind of association. If I was with people who probably all they do in their entire day is watch movies, watch Netflix, gist about things and all of that, one way or the other, no matter how much of a disciplined person I am, one way or
Yeah.
the other, I would emulate that habit, one way or the other. So there are things that are formed via association. So if you have certain habits that you are trying to deal with, you have to look at your environment, your association. Who are the people that you find around you? What kind of characters or habits do they display, both consciously and unconsciously? And if don't be afraid to say no or to get rid of relationships that are not moving you forward. That's one of the things I tell people a lot. Don't be afraid to break free from relationships that are not moving you forward. If you're in a certain relationship that, when I mean relationship, I mean friendship, not necessarily love kind of relationship. I mean friendship in general. So if you're in a certain relationship where it's not moving you forward, it's not positive, there's nothing you can actually say that you've counted or you've picked from this thing. Don't be afraid to say, I am breaking free from it. I
I'm
know
not
it might
doing it.
be hard. What?
No, I
I
said
mean,
you just say sorry. I'm not doing it again.
yeah, so I know
Not
it might
by
be very
force.
difficult because for someone like me, I'm very sentimental. So I love to consider people's emotions, people's feelings, and all of that a lot. But so I can't, I may not come out to you to tell you I don't want to be your friend again because I'm not a blunt person. Maybe sometimes I could be blunt, but not every time. So I cannot come out to tell you I won't be your friend again. But I drift from you. I drift from
Yeah.
you. So there's a friend I had who she talks too much. Like every time you are talking with her, she's always having to say something about somebody. So do you know that this person is pregnant? Do you know that this person is this? Do you know that this person actually aborted the pregnancy? So every time you have a conversation with her, she's always saying something about somebody. And I wasn't finding that comfortable because I realized that every time I'm doing that, I find myself feeling bad afterwards because I've said something wrong about somebody or I've joined a conversation that is not edifying. So it got to a point,
Yes.
I stopped picking her phone calls and I stopped calling her. Till today, she doesn't know why. And she feels like Michelle is avoiding her because Michelle is too busy or Michelle has started, you know. To her, I think she confronted me one day and she was like that, because you started achieving certain things. So we're no longer on your level anymore. That was what she said to me.
So you
And
have
she
now
made me
become. So, sorry for cutting you. So before she was talking about other people. So now you have now become the subject of the
exactly
gossip
the
now.
subject of it. Exactly. So I knew that at this same person that is always telling me about this person would someday tell somebody about me as well. And aside
Yeah.
from the fact that, and many times there are people that I don't even know them, but I know their entire life history just by
Wow.
talking with her. So I knew that this kind of relationship cannot take me anywhere. She's a very good person. She's awesome. But I knew I can't continue to deal with this kind of person. So I stopped picking her calls. I stopped calling her deliberately. And if I want to just to show her that I don't have issues with you, I send messages once in a while. How are you doing? I just call to check up on you. And it just ends there because I know that no matter what, you will have to talk about these things. So that's how I broke free from such relationships. So if you are not the kind of person that is blunt enough to say, I don't want to be your friend, there are subtle ways you can do it. Just people see signals a lot. So for me, I read people a lot. So if I see that you're giving me a particular signal, I know that this person doesn't want to associate with me anymore. And me myself, I will just drift away from you because I understand that I understand the message you're trying to pass without you saying it. So just work on your association. Ensure that you are with people who are helping you to become better, not making you become worse or less of yourself. So when you do that, those ways you can build a transformational habit and destroy
Yeah.
or get rid of the destructive habits. I think I'm done for now. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Phenomenal. Phenomenal, Michelle. Thank you so much. Just for so much value in a very, very short time. I know if I released you, you will still go on in this concept 4 hours. You're still talking. And many times I've found it to be mean because the way to test a person's passion is give that person that topic, and you are the one that will have to say, "Please stop now." And this is almost where it's going through, and it's amazing. So much value in a very short time. And I
Thank
have
you.
some questions listed here, which I think the viewers and the listeners would also want to ask. Now, the first question I have here is, yes, you spoke a lot about habits and the likes, but what are the things you would really say constitute habits? And at what point do you know that something has become an habit? What are those things literally that you would say, oh, these things are things that makes up an habit? And then at what point do I know that this thing has become an habit? Is it like, okay, maybe for example, I love to fast a lot. Does it mean that fasting is my habit, even though I eat once in a while? Or I love to always call all the time. And in today's world of social media, where people get really addicted to their phones, addicted to their devices, would we say these people are built up that kind of habits, or they have become addicted at those points? And what are those elements? Just let's hear from you, from experience and from the things you have done. So the question literally is, what are the things that constitute habits? And at what point do I know that something has become an habit?
Okay, thank you very much for that question. So the things that constitute habits are literally basically actions. So the things that I do, like the things that you see me do, or let me say lifestyle. So the way you see me live my life is what constitutes an habit. And what makes an habit is the virtue of repetition. So if I do something once, it doesn't make it an habit. When I do it consistently to a point, it becomes a lifestyle. Then it has become an habit for me. So habits can be positive and it can be negative. Doesn't mean that it's a bad thing. So, like you
Yeah.
said about fasting, fasting can actually be an habit that somebody has picked up. Like they just do it whether they want to really fast or not. It's just an habit for them to probably skip meals or always want to just discipline their body. So for them, it's an habit. And as long as this is something I do every single time, it's already a part of me. Like you cannot detach me from it easily, then it's an habit. So something that you do consistently, repeatedly, and often, and it has become a lifestyle that you cannot detach from, is what you call an habit.
Awesome, amazing. That's an exceptional answer. All right. Looking at experiences you've had working with people as a transformational coach, having to help people transition from what they don't love to what they now really want to be. What would you really consider to be the most prominent reason why people become addicted to something? Over time, studying people, whether young or old, or different diversities, what would you really consider to be the prominent reason why people go into addiction? There's a point where it's just a thought. There's a point where it's just, oh, I did it once. I just felt, oh, it's fine. Maybe I would not do it the next time. But some instances, people become addicted to something. What are, from discoveries, working with people, what do you think is the prominent reason why people go, or people become addicted to something?
Okay, I think based on what I have observed so far, one of the major things actually, I'll say curiosity, especially for young people, curiosity. So I've met persons who probably started masturbating or got addicted to pornography out of curiosity, and or probably one lifestyle or the other. They're just curious to know about it. Let me use myself as an example. I almost got addicted to pornography at some point as a teenager. And for me, what triggered that? I mean, I have a very curious mind. I'm that kind of person. In fact, that adage of curiosity kills the cat is what they use for me, because if curiosity could kill people, it would have killed me a long time ago, because I'm the kind of person that I always want to know what's happening, what's going on here. So I think I had a phone then, and I was online, and then I saw watch this sex video of, there was a particular celebrity then that I love so much. I respected her a lot. And they were not saying, see a sex video of her. I was so curious, like, oh my God, are you serious? A sex video of her. Let me go and watch it. And out of curiosity, I started watching the video to be sure that she was really the person. And oftentimes that thought will come to your mind and tell you, why don't you watch this video again? And if you do it again the second time, and then you do it the third time, and you continually do it, it becomes an habit. And another time, another experience again, when I was a child, I wanted to know how alcohol feels like, or what alcohol feels like. Like when it comes to wanting to explore things, I love to explore things a lot. So I wanted to know, how does it feel? I see people drunk on TV and they just start to stagger and just do stuff. How does it work for them? So I'm like, okay, let me try this out. And then I tried it out. It was very bitter, but then it had this there was that feeling that I had that I actually liked. And so so every time there's just that signal that comes to my brain again to want to take it again. I want to take it again. I want to take it again. But one of the things that helped me at that particular period, so I took it the first time, and then the second day again, I wanted to take it again. And I'm sure it was the Holy Spirit, even though I didn't have a relationship with God as at then, because I was just 16 years old or 15, thereabouts. But I'm sure that voice that spoke to me that day was the Holy Spirit, because I wanted to take that drink again. And that word just came like, do you want to build a lifestyle on alcoholism? Because if you drink this again, you want to drink it again. I don't know where that came from, because I know I was too young to actually think like that. Like I was too young to actually have that kind of mindset. So I knew it was some form of divinity that was trying to help me, because I know that I know myself. I know that if I get addicted to it, it will take it will take a lot of effort to break out of it. It will take a lot of effort to break out of it. So, if I taking it again, it will become an habit. So curiosity is a thing for a lot of people, especially young, very, very young people. They are exposed to certain things. They want to have a feel of what it's like, and wanting to know, they experience it, and in experiencing it, they like how it felt, or they like how their mind felt when they did what they did, and they want to try it again. And in trying it again, they want to keep trying it and trying it. Before you know it, it becomes an habit that they are stuck to and they cannot break out of it. So that's one of the
Wow.
major things I've observed.
Yeah, correct. Yes, very, very true. It always starts with, let me try. Let me see what it looks like. Oh, it looks kind of nice. At another time, oh, let me just try one more time and see. And from one, two, three, four, it becomes something you can no longer do without. Yes, I so
Mm.
agree with you. Even at the point where a lot of people have even feel like, not like I really want to have a boyfriend, maybe in secondary school, but my friends are having, let me just give it an attempt. And from giving an attempt, it grew up to something they never even wanted. And a lot of people have gone the wrong way. And just like you have mentioned, imagine if the Michelle Ogunniyi that inspires thousands of people today never broke away from alcohol. Maybe we would never have heard you. Maybe the thousands of
Maybe.
people who have been blessed by you would never have even heard of from you. Or maybe something would have just happened somehow that you would not have been able to really exhibit that potential. And that leads to the next question, which is, our habits, do they just affect us, or they have an effect on other people around us? Some people feel it's my habit, maybe it's just me. It's nothing, it's just me. So is it true that your habits affect only you, or the habits you try to build have a reflection on other people also?
Okay, thank you for that question. Um, it's a two-way thing. So it affects us, and by extension, those who love us and they care about us, they are affected in one way or the other, maybe psychologically or emotionally. So if I have let's say for instance, now if I have an alcoholic father, or a father who smokes, or a
Mm,
father who beats up his wife, and I
yeah,
grew up seeing that every day, there's something it tells to my mind as a child. And so you see a lot of children that grew up in abusive homes and grew up to become violent themselves, because over time they've seen a display of violence in their home, in their families. So when you have something, it doesn't just affect you alone, even though you take a larger part of it, but there are other people that are victims of what you have done, or what your actions over time. So there's that child that sees the father verbally abusing his mother, calling his mother all sorts of names, and he grows up to be that kind of. And funny enough, the thing about this thing is that sometimes self, I've met people who, even though they never grew up with their parents, they still display some of the traits that their parents had, because of, I don't know, there's just that makeup in them that makes them to just do those things. So it doesn't affect us alone. It affects those, especially our loved ones, those that are close to us. It affects them a great deal. So it's not just you, everybody.
yeah, yeah. True, true. So, yes, by extension, it affects you, affect those around you, and it also affects those who are tied to the purpose that you have to fulfill. Like,
Yeah.
imagine somebody who, when you were young, you were always smoking. You didn't break out from smoking, and maybe by smoking, accident happened and the person died. Maybe those who would
Mhm.
have heard the voice of that person would never get to hear him. Or
Yeah.
sometimes maybe the person might even be a lady, and you decided, oh, while I'm on campus, it's nothing now. Everybody is catching fun with relationship, and you start moving from different relationship. Maybe somehow you got pregnant. To some extent, it limits your confidence of even being able to speak. But if you avoided that, you would have walked some leap in destiny or some leap in fulfilling your purpose and doing all of that. It's very, very amazing. Thank you, Michelle, for that.
Thank you.
Over to the next question, which is, you spoke about opening up to people. Like when you find out that you have some sort of habits, it's good you open up. Sometimes you choose to be accountable and you do all of those things. But someone might be thinking there and saying, I've tried opening up in the past, but it ended up very worse. That probably the person I opened up to was not matured enough, and the person started telling people my story, started announcing my story. I said confidential information to that person, and the person, before I knew it, I heard from this person, that person, and that person. And this is somebody I respected so much. Now, at what point do we know the right person to talk to? At what point do we know the right person to trust with such information? At what point do we know that if I tell this person, it's not going to become worse than it is? So, what would you advise for such kind of person who have had diverse experiences in the past where they've shared that information and at the end of the day, it became worse than they really expected?
Okay, I think I understand that question very well because I've also been there before. And for someone like me, I'm a very secretive person, so I don't like opening up to people. And then finally, you find the courage to now tell somebody. The next thing is you're even feeling worse, and you feel like I should have just kept quiet in the first place. But one thing I always tell people: tell a trusted person or a professional, preferably a professional. In fact, you can't go wrong telling a professional about it. If you don't have access to a professional, you can ask around. Like I think there was recently somebody posted on her status that I need to talk to a therapist. And I just replied her and sent her the message of a counselor that actually deals in that particular area that she was going through. So talk to a trusted person. Very, very, very key, especially a professional, because professionals they know how to handle stuffs with confidentiality and professionalism. So they know that whatever it is that I'm discussing with my clients is a confidential issue. I'm not telling. Don't always give that excuse of if I tell somebody, the person will tell another person and all of that. Don't always give that excuse. There are people that you can talk to that your secrets are 100% safe with them and you're not going to tell another person. So if you are really desperate about change or if you're really desperate about wanting to find the healing or whatever it is, you will reach out, you will look for them. They are everywhere. You just need to look out for them. And that's just it.
Yeah. Awesome. So what you have to do is look for experts, look for professionals in that field. Professionals have been trained to keep confidential informations confidential. So,
Yeah.
and the fact that you've had those experiences in the past does not mean you should not still trust people, and then you should keep dying in that situation. All right. So over to what you do as a transformational coach. Could you share a bit of the experience that led you into becoming a transformational coach? Because just to let you know, I've known about you before now. I knew there was a time you were more about writing books, inspiring people in training. But recently, I think I just got to know this year. Maybe I didn't know before now that now you are into the business of being a transformational coach fully. How did that transit? And what were experiences that led to that? I know you didn't just wake up one morning and say, wow, Michelle, now is the time to be a transformational coach. And then you became one. Yeah, definitely there were experiences that led to that. So can you just share a bit of how the journey all started and what led into you becoming a transformational coach?
Okay. So I'd always, should I say, I'd always had it in me. I don't want to sound cliche, but I'd always known, at some point that this was something that, should I say, I've been called to do, yes, to really help people live better and fulfilled lives. But I also knew that I knew that the timing wasn't right for it. And so it was about this year that I came fully into that discovery of, okay, this is the time for you to now step out and start doing this thing. And
So
how
please
was
clap for me, which means my discovery was correct.
Yes, you are. So I have people around me. Okay, so I have this mentor, not necessarily a mentor, but she's my personal coach now. She's also into, she's a therapist, she's a counselor, and all of that. I've always had the passion for counseling people, coaching people, just helping people live better lives. It's just something that I I find fulfillment doing, and I've been doing it subconsciously before, and I didn't even know. I was just doing it right from when I was young. Sometimes people come and meet me for advices. I'll tell them this and all of that. And at some point, I wanted to study psychology in school, but I didn't get the opportunity to do that. And I told myself that I want to help people work on their minds and become better versions of themselves. So there was this mentor of mine who she had probably seen, and that's why it's very important to always be with people who see beyond you. They see beyond your now. So she was able to see that this girl, she beyond what she's doing about writing books and all of that, there's a core to her. And so I had this she just told me she organizes trainings for professionals, therapists, counselors, and all of that. She organizes trainings for them. And then she told me that she wants me to be a part of this training. And me, I was telling myself that I want to go for this training in 5 years' time. But then she reached out to me and tells me that I want you to be a part of this training. And because I just feel led to have you, to give you this opportunity to be a part of this training. So I was really surprised because this was something I was thinking I have to gather money, I have to wait for like 5 years and stuff like that to be able to get it done. And then, it came at this particular period, and praying about it, I realized that this was just the time for me to just, step into it. And I had a one-on-one session with her where we were able to do a mind mapping and passion mapping session. So it was in that session that I was able to now draft everything I've been doing from the beginning till now and see that they are not really different from what I'm doing now. It's just that it's now clearly defined. I now have a clearer perspective to it. So it's not like I'm doing something entirely different from what I was doing before. It's just that it's now more defined, and it's now like it's more structured and more defined. So that's basically how it started. It's not like I was doing something different, but it just like stepped out more this year and became more defined this year.
Wow, amazing. I'm happy to see how the journey has unfolded, and it's been so amazing. So, can you
Thank
just share with us what are some of the projects you're working on, probably programs? Tell us about some of your books, and then how the audience can access them.
you. Okay, so I'm working on three things this month. The first one is Beyond the Four Walls of School. So it's actually a yearly project that I run for undergraduates and people who are about leaving university, most especially core members and all of that, preparing them and equipping them for life after school. Because a lot of times I get stuff from people telling me, I'm about to graduate from school. I don't know what's next. I don't even know my purpose in life. I don't even know what I want to do. I'm studying a course. I don't love what I'm studying. My GP is on social thing, a lot of things. So this particular program is addresses all of these things. I bring speakers from different people with results and experiences to come share with them and also help them to make better decisions as they prepare to move to the next level in life. So that one is holding next week. Next week, that's October 14th and 15th, Beyond the Falls of School. And then the second one is it's a live session on identity crisis and coming to discover and understand your identity. A lot of people also don't understand, they don't even know who they are.
Yeah.
And because they don't know who they are, they just walk aimlessly through life, just wanting to do everything, wanting to be everywhere, accepting everything that life just throws at them because they don't have an understanding of who they are at all. So this session is also going to address such to help people discover themselves, discover purpose, and live better. And then the third one is Job Creation Masterclass. This one is actually a paid It's a paid session for people who want to create something out of nothing. So it's actually aimed at solving the problems of unemployment in Nigeria, because now jobs are like a lot of people are always thinking of, I need a job, I need a job, I need a job. And that mindset is just what everybody, virtually everybody has. And some people actually want a job, but they don't have the qualities that requires them to be employed. Many things like that. So the job creation masterclass is to equip them with information and skills that would prepare them that even if you don't get a job, you can create something for yourself and start earning, making something meaningful out of your life. So those are the few things I'm currently working on. For my books, I have two books. Why Birthdays, Insight for Purposeful Living. It's about purpose discovery and fulfillment, understanding your purpose, understanding why your purpose, why you exist, why your birthday exists. Because every year we just celebrate our birthday. Today I'm celebrating 21st, tomorrow 22nd, and we're just counting numbers. But many people don't know beyond that. It's just we're just
Yeah.
living, 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 and then when I get to a certain point, I just die and I leave the world. So the book is to help you to discover your essence for being here, your essence
Yeah.
for existence, and to live your life better. Another
Yeah.
365 days is actually a book on New Year. So it's a New Year kind of book. So if you're going into the New Year and planning for the New Year, everybody's always like, New Year resolution, New Year, new me. I want to become a better person this year. Then once it is March or April, we just go back to old lifestyles and old habits. So it's just to tell you that you don't have to wait till December 31st to decide to become better, or January 1st. Your new year can start today if you decide to change your ways, or stuff like that. So that's basically what the book's about. And the first one is just an ebook. You can get it on Amazon, Okada Books, and you can also get it directly from me. It's just 1,000 naira. And then the second one, it's available in hard copy and e-copy. So the hard copy is 2,000 naira, and then the ebook is 1,000 naira. So that's it.
All right. So amazing. So please take advantage of that. And very soon with the level Michelle is going, you'll start hearing that books are 8,000, 7,000.
Amen.
So it's very, 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 very key. So yes, you talk about people reaching you directly. So what do you think is the best way for people to reach you and you would be able to respond? Definitely what you think is the best way, probably Facebook, Instagram, or maybe via your email. So you could just drop that. So I would drop it here for people to see, so they can reach you.
Okay, so my Facebook handle, you can reach me on Facebook actually, Michelle Okwemi Ogunniyi. And you can also send me a mail at michelleogunniyi1@gmail.com.
Okay, so on Facebook, Michelle Opeyemi Ogunniyi. All
Mm-hmm.
right. Then
Yeah,
you said on email, Michelle
yeah, Michelle
Ogunniyi
Ogunniyi.
one.
Yeah,
All
like
right.
number one. The keyboard.
All right. This is always there's always a humorous part to my interview session, and I want to ask you that humorous question, which I get to ask a lot of my guests, which is that if you see the Michelle of 8 years old, that young girl at 8 years old, with the things you know now, what are you going to tell her? What will be your counsel to Michelle at 8 years old?
Hmm. What will be my counsel to Michelle? I'm trying to remember my 8 years old self. Let me see. How was I when I was 8 years old? I think the Michelle of 8 years old never believed in herself. She was very stubborn and very naughty. So I think my counsel to her is to let her know that she has everything she has everything in her to get to wherever she wants to get to in life. She can achieve anything that she sets her mind to achieve. And that life is not all about gra gra. Sometimes you need to calm down and
Let us be
take life
calming
slow.
down.
Let us be calming down. So I think that's what I'll just tell her.
All right, awesome. Thank you so much, Michelle. I'm so grateful and honored to have you. I'm so great for the value you have shared, and I would see you on the back end.
Thank you so much.
All right. So you just heard very briefly from Michelle Ogunniyi. That was an awesome time on how you can transition from destructive habits to transformational habits. That was so much value in a short time. And don't forget, make sure you get a book. Those books are epic, phenomenal, and exceptional. You must reach out now on Facebook. You can send a message through Facebook Messenger and then reach out on an email at michelleogunniyi1@gmail.com. Always remember that growth never stops. You keep growing as long as you're alive. And then don't stop being exceptional, don't stop being phenomenal, and never stop growing. Till I come your way again with my next guest. See you on the other side. Bye bye.